This is the hallmark of good journalism. False equivalency, all too often these days, can be a fatal flaw. If I say that the world is round and someone else says it's flat, that's worth reporting. But you might also want to report on a bunch of scientific evidence that seems to support the notion that the world is round. A job well done is about more than just handing someone a microphone. It would be better served if billions of dollars in free media came with serious accountability, especially when politicians do unworkable plans or make promises they can't keep. And there are reporters here who know they can't keep them. I know that's a shocking concept.
There's a man lecturing the media on how to do their business, the man who has not sat down for an extended interview with the Washington Post in 7.5 years, and yet gladly submits himself to being interviewed by YouTube stars who sit in bathtubs with milk and Fruit Loops.
The one with the big hair, yes. Okay, so that was President Obama speaking last night at the Toner Prize Awards dinner in D.C. President Obama calling on the media to hold themselves to a higher standard.
Fruit Loops, I say. And
I think it was Apple Jacks.
Yeah, and also another podcast called WTF.
So,
with a liberal L.A. comedian. But hasn't sat down with the Washington Post in 7.5 years, but we really should hold ourselves to a higher standard.
And while taking some responsibility for the divisive culture in American politics, he also called on media companies to invest back into the public good and, quote, not dumb down the news. Some in the press corps were less than impressed. Mark Knoller of CBS News tweeted, "You're supposed to push those in power for more evidence and more access," says President Obama, even though the White House doesn't always provide it. Sam Stein of the Huffington Post tweeted, "After this barn burner from Obama on the responsibilities of robust press coverage, I'm eager to see the spike in on the record White House briefings." And Callum Borchers of the Washington Post tweeted, "Obama is right about a balkanized media problem, but he contributed to it." And I think you were alluding to that, Joe?
Well, yeah. I mean, the president, and that column, Jim Vandehei, yesterday accurately talked about the hypocrisy of the president the balkanized treatment when he himself went more times than not to those who would provide him the easiest questions, and he would be speaking to his audience directly.
Well, I think it goes to his comment about false equivalency. I think his definition of that would be not giving more weight to his position, and I think therefore he goes to friendly media outlets and does avoid a lot of the tough scrutiny. And also I think one of the big critiques you'll hear from investigative reporters at Politico and other organizations is just the lack of transparency in the FOIA process and other instruments that government can do. So there's no doubt reporters can always do a better job of scrutinizing and explaining. I'd also say that White Houses can do a heck of a lot better job in being able to offer transparency on their end, and any reporter who's dealt with this White House would say it's as frustrating, if not more frustrating, than dealing with the
extraordinarily frustrating, isn't it?
Well, it definitely can be. Many times it is, and you know, it just drives me nuts. These lectures about how to cover Donald Trump, basically. I mean, he's talking about that, and in fact, we write those stories. We write the stories about how his numbers don't add up and it doesn't make any sense. The frustration is that the voters keep voting for him, and we're supposed to do something about that.
Exactly. Jim Vandehei, thank you very much
this
morning.